Today we will be bringing you guys an informational video on what budgeting, investing, and credit score are. So we'll begin by covering the topic of what a credit score is. And you may ask yourself, what is a credit score? Well, a credit score is a statistical number that defines how trustworthy a person is with money. So how do you start credit? The way you start credit is by going to your local bank and getting a credit card. And the way that a credit card works is that you're borrowing money from the bank. So the bank is loaning you money and you will have to pay them back monthly. And the way that you improve your credit score is by paying on time and having low debt on that credit card. Sometimes they only require you to do a minimum payment. What you will want to do is avoid these minimum payments and try to pay on time and fully.
Here are a few tips for when you start your credit. You want to only use your credit card when you seriously need to. When you do not use your credit card, make sure to pay off your card each month in order to be able to maximize your reward value. When having multiple credit cards, make sure that you pay off your high interest credit cards first. Another tip is when having a bad credit card, don't think about it as an ordinary card. Stay away from cash advances because you will need to end up paying way more than the cash amount that you withdrew. Basically, when having a credit card, be careful with the amount that you spend and make sure to pay it back to your bank.
So next up is defining investing. So what is investing? Well, investing is when someone puts their money in a certain company and expects to get profit from it later in the future. In this segment, we'll be covering different ways to invest in the stock market.
One of the ways to invest in a stock market is through buying stocks. A stock is a partial ownership of a company expecting profit from it in the future. A stock is risky because it has high risk and reward factor to it. You can either gain or lose a great amount of invested money. Another form of investing in a stock market is through purchasing bonds.
Bonds are loans of money given to businesses for a fixed period of time. At the end of the period, the value of the bond is repaired. Investors also receive a predetermined interest rate, which is usually paid annually. However, bondholders can, if they wish, sell a bond to someone else before the agreed time period.
In our day and age, teens aren't as well prepared to balance or handle money, which is where budgeting actually comes in. Budgeting is balancing your money wisely, taking in consideration your spending and saving, and trying to have a compromise in between, which will overall profit yourself. Take this for example. Many people choose to eat out at fast food restaurants every day, which is a great way to lose a lot of money. With some planning and some preparation, you can easily avoid that problem by heading out to the supermarket or a grocery store and maybe planning or making meals ahead of time, saving you tens or hundreds of dollars monthly. Now, budgeting may seem stressful since it seems that you're giving up a lot and doing this all by yourself, but there are many tips and resources that can help you through this. For example, having a checking and savings account. In the good old days, many people used to use mattresses to save their income or any amounts of money, which is low in security, but you could solve that by opening a checking or a savings account. Saving accounts actually come with interest, so the more money you put in, the more money you'll get back from banks. It's almost like a small thank you from the banks. On the other hand, checking accounts are also secure, but do not come with interest rates, meaning that the money you put in will usually stay as the money you put in.
Okay, so I have two ideas that I tried to share with my children about money. One is if they start they start with their first job basically, and if they start putting just $10 a week into a savings account and they never ever touch it, they will have so much money when they are getting older in life from that $10 a week, because then they can invest it if they choose to do that too. But that $10 a week should just be put aside, not ever touched, and then it can go to retirement. If and when you want to buy a house, you could put it towards a house, but it's money you really don't miss, and it really works out for you later. My other one, it has to do with the fact that chances are if you do get married, you're probably, I know it sounds really horrible, probably not going to really stay married to that person forever, even though that would be nice in fairy tale world. But in reality, there will be a time where you will face some tough decisions. And if you set up yourself, maybe even with that $10 of contingency money, if you set up yourself with some kind of secret bank account that you don't really share that knowledge with your partner, when you come to the point where you might have a tough decision to make, you will have money in the bank so that your decision is based on what is right for you and your family. and not based on, can I really survive alone? Do I have enough money to get an apartment for myself and my children? Do I have enough money to even get a hotel room tonight for myself and children?
Here are top 5 facts about the U.S. economy.
Today, more than 1 million public school students in the United States are homeless. This is the first time that this has ever happened in our history. During President Barack Obama's first term, the federal government accumulated more debt than it did under the prior 42 presidents combined. There are approximately 58 million Americans collecting Social Security benefits. By 2035, that number is projected to rise to 91 million. The federal government runs 83 different welfare programs, and 108.2 million Americans are enrolled in at least one of them. That equals about 35% of the population. The home ownership rate in America is now at its lowest level in nearly 18 years. There are fewer American workers working in manufacturing today than there were in the 1950s, even though the US population has more than doubled since.
Well, I was a senior in high school, and I decided that it would be a good idea to go to college. And the only problem with this idea is the fact that I didn't have the money to pay my tuition fees. I decided that it would be a good idea to take out loans from the bank to help pay my tuition, since I heard that college debt is good debt. I started my freshman year in college on the right path, but my second year went downhill. But long story short, I wasn't able to keep up with all my classes, and now I have this massive debt. My only advice that I would give is to avoid loans. And if you do end up getting a loan, make sure to stay committed to pay for it.
Alright, are we good?